All right, we are in section 1.4. And we are talking about solving equations. And in solving equations today, we're first going to talk about our steps, which are, again, general steps. We'll do a couple examples, and we'll talk about what happens if everything drops out, those options. And that'll probably be all we're going to do today. So first, steps to solve. Step number 1, distribute. If there are parentheses anywhere, make sure you distribute to get rid of the parentheses. Step number 2, clear the fraction. Step number 3, combine like terms on either side. Step number 4, move the variable to the left. Step number 5, we're going to move the constant or anything we don't want or isn't one of those variables to the other side. We're going to move the constant to the right. And step number 6, we divide by the coefficient on the variable to solve. All right, so today, it's a Monday, super easy day. All right, here we go with example number 1. And this is 10 through 24. Let's start with 10 through 24. Solve. Almost all. Solve. So let's say I have 3 times 2x minus 1 plus 7 equals x minus 9. So the very first thing we have to do is distribute to get rid of that parenthesis. So I have 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. I'm to the end of this parenthesis, so I'm done distributing. I'm going to bring down everything else. There are no fractions, so we move on to step 3, combine like terms on each side. So on this side, we're going to combine the negative 3 and the 7 together. So I have 6x plus 4 equals x minus 9. Now I need to move the variable to the left. It's a positive 1x now. To move it, I'm going to subtract 1x. Whatever I do to this side, I have to do to this side. So I have 6x minus x is 5x. I still have plus 4 equals negative 9. Now I need to move the constant to the other side. So I need to move this positive 4. To move positive 4, I have to subtract 4 from both sides. So it leaves me with 5x equals negative 13. And then, last step, we divide by the coefficient on our x to solve. And we get x equals negative 13 over 5. And you leave it in that form. Okay? Is there any question? All right, let's do another example from this section real quick. Example number 2. Let's say I have 5y plus 3.4 equals 2 times y minus 3. So what do I have to do first? Good. So I have 5y plus 3.4 equals 2 times y is 2y. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. All right, now I want to move my y's to the left, so I'm going to subtract 2y. Whatever I do to this side, I have to do to this side. So 5y minus 2y is 3y. I still have plus 3.4 equals negative 6. Now I have to move my constant to the right, so I'm going to subtract 3.4. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I have 3y equals negative 9.4. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 3. And y equals. I cannot have a decimal and a fraction at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and divide this. I get what? Negative 3.13. What's next? Oh, repeating 3. Okay. So, does anybody know why I left this as a decimal? Yes. Yep. This one started as a decimal, didn't it? So since it started as a decimal, its answer can be a decimal. Other than that, I want them back to improper fractions unless it's a real-life situation. Which brings us to a real-life situation. Here we go with example number 3. All right, this is similar to 26 through 28. Two planes leave an airport at noon. One flew east and the other flew west at twice the speed. After 3 hours, the planes were 2,700 miles apart. How fast was each plane? All right, so first of all, we have one beautiful plane going. This is going to be my plane. Sorry if it's not gorgeous or anything, but here's my plane. Okay, I got one plane going this way, and I have another plane almost looks like an alligator, but you know. Another plane going that direction. This one is going at the speed of x. This one is going at the speed of 2x. All right. Now, what do we know about rate, time, and distance? What can anybody tell me? I know you guys know stuff about rate, time, and distance. It's a science question. Rate equals distance divided by time, exactly. Rate equals, huh? Or sometimes you can say rate times time equals distance, right? Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about. Is first of all, we know that they're after 3 hours they're traveling. So this plane is traveling at a rate of x for how long? 3 hours. So this is actually 3 times x, right? This plane is traveling at a rate of 2x for 3 hours. So it's actually going 6x. Everybody agree there? Okay, now these two planes end up a whole distance of 2,700 miles apart. So what am I going to do with 3x and 6x? Am I going to add, subtract, multiply, or divide? Add them, right? The distance from here to here, I've got to add their two distances together. So I have 3x plus 6x equals 2,700. 3x plus 6x is 9x. So x equals 300. So that means plane number 1 is going 300 miles per hour. What about plane number 2? There we go. Okay? So you have a couple of them. I picked the hardest one out of them to kind of explain to you a little bit. The other two are easier, so you should be good. Remember that if you have a rectangle, you're going to want to draw a rectangle. So let's try one like that. Example number 4. Let's go with the length of a rectangle is 5 feet more than the width. The perimeter is let's go with 22. Yeah, 22. So I have this rectangle, right? First of all, it tells us the length of the rectangle is 5 feet more than the width. So we don't know anything about the width at all. So the width I'm going to call x. Well, if this side is x, that means this side over here is x. The length is 5 feet more than the width. How do I write 5 feet more than the width? No. X plus 5. And x plus 5 down here. Now it says the perimeter. What does perimeter mean? Yep, adding all the way around, right? So I'm actually going to write it all down so you see it. If I add all the way around, I have x plus 5 plus x plus x plus 5, right? There's my two lengths equals a perimeter of 22. So now we're going to solve for x to find the width. So first I'm going to combine all my x's together to 4x. Good. Good. Awesome. Good. Divide both sides by 4, and x equals 3. What does that represent? Which is? The width. Very good. So the width is 3 feet. What if I were to ask you what's the length? Yes, it would be 8, right? We take it and plug it back in to find this side. So this side equaled 3, and this side equaled 8. All right, real quick, last thing I want to talk about, just a quick reminder. When solving an equation and the variable drops out, if we're just going to say C equals C, then that means that it's infinitely many solutions. And we say that is always true. If C equals D, which means the two of them don't equal, right, then that's no solution. And it is never true. All right, I just want to remind you of that. So real quick, example number 5, and I'm done. Let's say I have 6x minus 12 plus 2x equals 3 plus 8x minus 15. All right, so there's no parentheses, there's no fractions, so I just combine like terms on either side. On this side, I can put together my 6x and 2x, so I get 8x minus 12. On this side, I can put together my 3 and negative 15, so I have 8x minus 12. If I subtract my 8x to the other side, I get negative 12 equals negative 12. So what does that mean? It has infinitely many solutions. So that means absolutely anything can go in for x and it makes it work, which means this is always true. There we go. Okay? All right, so today for homework, you're doing 10 to 30 even. It's 11 problems. It should not take you very long. Make sure you show your work. I know some of them are pretty easy, but please make sure you show your work so that I can double check before we move on to tomorrow's lesson. Okay.